Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Know. This is the series that has been digging into the details about the 2025 World Conference. My name is Jenn Killpack, and I serve as Director of Communications for Community of Christ.
And I am Susan Naylor, and I serve as the World Church Secretary and the First Presidency's Office Director. And we both serve as members of the World Conference Directors Team.
So maybe you thought we'd be done, but just because conference is finished doesn't mean In the Know has to be finished. Um, as the directors team and even the operations team continue to debrief, Susan and I thought maybe it'd be fun for you guys to hear some of the stories, the stats, the good times, the lessons learned, all the things that we're collecting. And so we just thought maybe we'd kind of let you see into the post conference life for a little bit, and that's what we're going to do today.
Absolutely. So many stories, so many pictures. Um, it's hard to believe it's been, 2 weeks now, Jen?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And we're still upright, I think. But so much fun. I was looking at pictures this morning and just got caught up in just all the faces and my friends and the people I met just and knowing that now we're out there trying to carry forth the message of World Conference. So what was your favorite part, Jen?
Ooh. I had a lot of favorite moments. I think uh, one of them was just kind of a silly moment actually on what day was it? Saturday evening. Yeah, I think it was Saturday evening. I was running a little bit late to worship that evening over um, in the auditorium and came like busting out of the temple doors, and the screen was that was on the plaza was on, and they were streaming the worship, and I was like, oh, well, this is fun. Okay. There was like no one out and about. It was, the first night we'd been out there, or that the screen had been on, and I happened to see Jamie Barbero, who was kind of coordinating those activities on the plaza, and he was a dear friend of mine, and we do spec together as well. And so I was like, "Hey, Jamie, what's going on?" He's like, "Well, I was thinking about watching the service out here tonight." And I was like, "Okay." So we just pulled like two chairs out and sat down, and then our sound guy was like, "Well, maybe I'll sit with you too for a minute." So he pulled a chair up, and then one of our other like former employees, he's Jason. He was kind of milling about as well, and he's like, "Oh, I'll sit with you too." So we ended up sitting out on the plaza in a row of four chairs in front of the big screen for like I sat there for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. And I was like, "Well, I should probably head over there still." But the sun was like kind of starting to set a little bit. The breeze was beautiful. Fabric out there on the plaza was just like flowing, and people were singing, and I could hear them on the screen, and it was just like, wow, this is so cool. And I thought this is kind of like a preview of the week to come. And I was like, if people know how like great it is out here, they might not go inside. Might not go inside. um, but anyway, that was just one of my kind of like silly random fun moments.
Mm-hmm.
um my other one actually happened in the High Priest Quorum meeting on Thursday morning. At the High Priest Quorum, we had the opportunity to host um, the setting apart service for the new Standing High Council members. So all three of the people who were going onto the Standing High Council were remote. So we had great support from the Stone Church AV people, had the Zoom set up. We had Lisa joining us from Australia, and Macreen and Ezekiel were joining us from the remote site in Cote d'Ivoire. And so members of the presidency were in the room, and they offered setting apart prayers. And while they were doing that, I was kind of running up and down the stairs to make sure that the AV people knew like who was doing what and where, etc. and I get a WhatsApp message from Joshua in the Cote d'Ivoire site. He was one of the um, presiders of the English site, and he's like, the Nigerians would like to sing a song after Ezekiel's prayer. I can't remember which one, and it was the one in the middle. So it's the three prayers, and it was the one in the middle. And I was like, okay, well, I definitely want them to do that, but how? So I'm like, can they sing, or would they sing at the end of all three prayers? And he's like, yes. So we're like WhatsApp messaging on the side. So I run back upstairs and tell Ron, who was running the Zoom session, like, hey, can you leave this on and on the screen because our Nigerian delegation wants to sing. And so he's like, oh, sure, no problem. So after the last prayer, this group of, I don't know, probably maybe eight or nine of the Nigerian delegation um, stood up kind of in front of the camera, and McCreen and Ezekiel kind of moved out of the way, and they started singing the song. And I didn't know the song, but you could tell that it was a really important, like, heart song of theirs. And it was a really great connection moment. I happened to be standing in the back of the sanctuary, like in the aisle. If you've been in the stone church, you kind of know there's two doors and two side aisles in the center seating section. And all of a sudden, I heard someone singing quietly this song that I did not know. I was like, I wonder who knows this song. And I look over, and I think his name is Ben, but he's a mission center leader from Nigeria, and he was singing the song, and he had tears in his eyes, and you could just tell that that was a really, really meaningful thing for him to be able to hear his brothers and sisters who couldn't come physically to be here, but it was a way that we could connect, over the miles. And it's something that I'll probably remember for the rest of my life. It was just a really meaningful, special moment.
That's very cool. Yeah, I'd say singing is definitely in our DNA. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're from. For me, it was, I think Saturday night, and then also we did it again, and I don't remember which day, but singing the Spirit of God, like a fire is burning, especially on Saturday night with everybody on the main floor of the auditorium. I just had to stop for a moment because it just resonated up through my feet and into my soul. And it was, I've heard other people also express about that particular singing of the Spirit of God. And somebody was saying that they could imagine that might have been how they felt in Kirtland when the temple was dedicated. And I was like, oh yeah, um, I could resonate with that feeling. And one of my other favorites, yeah, there's so many favorites. Um, Again, out on the World Plaza, it's not only are we a singing people, we are a community people. And out on the World Plaza, I think it was Monday night after Janae and Bunda and Mareva were ordained. And as I went out early after the service to make sure the plaza was kind of set up, and I'd noticed this woman standing up against the glass wall over by the doors and standing by a table. She was on her phone, and um, she I didn't think much about it. And later in the evening, she was still there, and I all of a sudden it kind of clicked. I was like, "Oh, I bet she's our medic, on our contracted medic for the evening." And so I went over and introduced myself, and I said, "Are you the medic?" And she said, "Yes." And she goes, "Oh my gosh." She goes, "I asked Kara if it'd be okay if I left the first aid station and came out here." And I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you thought of that. That's wonderful." I said, "The majority of the people are out here." And she said, and she told me with tears in her eyes, she said, "You don't know how much this has meant to my soul tonight. I needed this." And, conference often we think about it's about us, but I had very similar comments from the caterers in food service who said this is their second year in doing this, and they said, "We just love this event. We love your people. And yeah, it's hard work, but it's on our calendar for 2028. We hope we get invited back, you know. And so not only do we, you know, it's not just us, it's the world and the community together that create this event that I think sometimes it's really hard to describe. You have to jump in with both feet and be a part. So um I
We had
gosh.
we had a this year. We just recently contracted for part-time help as with a Spanish interpreter translator, and so this was her first time coming to conference, and she kept prior to conference, she kept asking, "Well, what is it like? Like, what should I expect?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to describe this for you."
Yes.
Not even just as a participant, but like you're gonna work so hard, but you're gonna have such a good time, and it's gonna be such a great experience, but it's a lot of work. And so anyway, after I saw her multiple times during the week, and she always had a big smile on her face, and she's like, "I'm having the best time. I sometimes don't know what the heck I'm doing or where I'm going at any moment, but I'm having the best time."
That's very cool.
And I
Yeah,
was like, I'm just really glad that she was able to come and participate in that way.
yeah, it reminds me of we had the Weary Traveler, kind of a coffee house style vocal group
Oh,
on
musical, yeah, musical group.
Tuesday night in the sanctuary. Um, and then we had the K Brothers on Thursday night out on the World Plaza. And both of those groups had never been to the temple before. And we're just amazed at the location and also the people. They kept trying to find words to say what their experience had been, and we just shared our appreciation and hoped that they would carry our message with them, and that was just really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess one more, you know, you're talking about cultural things and the diversity. It was again Monday night after the service, and I was standing out in the middle of the World Plaza with my daughter Carlin, just kind of taking it all in. And I mean, the French Polynesians and Mareva were on stage dancing and singing, and everybody was forming out around them. And then all of a sudden, I noticed a whole group of community of Africans, and Bunda was in the center, and they were showering him with cornflower and a very sacred and honorable ritual in their culture. And then they pulled Janae out from underneath the tent and said, "You need to be out here with us." And there was just this whole, I said, you know, this is just like standing in the midst of so many cultures and being in the middle of a village that just you could feel the love and the hope and the care for everyone. And it's just a core memory that will stay with me forever. So it was very cool.
I kind of see in the chat, someone was saying they appreciated the work that went into allowing the Canada Kitchener remote site to be part of conference, and they were able to create a spirit-filled experience. It was really fun. I don't know if fun's the right word, but it's the one I have, so that's what I'm using. It was really fun to see, the different remote sites, especially anytime we voted, they would, show up on screen, and you could, like, kind of see, like, okay, who do I know out there? But just that visual reminder of being connected, across the miles. One of our other translators, Evelyn Bernard, was not able to travel to World Conference, but she was still able to participate. She did almost all of our written translation on the French side. She was the main person who took care of that for us. And she also was able to interpret. So that's like the simultaneous interpretation. She was able to do that for some sessions too. And she sent a note, I don't know what day, but one day during conference that one of her most favorite things was she's like, "I can't believe that me as a French Polynesian is sitting on this small island in the middle of the ocean and I'm translating for my brother who's in the Ivory Coast or the Cote d'Ivoire site, speaking in French, and I was able to interpret, and people were hearing my voice in the conference chamber so that he could be understood. Like, how incredible was that we can be connected in that way? I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Yeah. The technology was just amazing.
Yeah.
And
It was a
like,
little bumpy at the start, like I will not lie.
yes.
But it, and just for everyone's knowledge, like I think I don't know, I should ask Greg. Greg Bassett kind of was the main person who architected, I don't know, who created the architecture, the technical architecture of that system that allowed us to connect our remote sites and have translation, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think there were, I bet there were close to 22 computers running, like in the, I don't know, we call it 1056 because that's a room number, but inside the control room for everything that was connected to Zoom translations and the um, the legislative system or sessions. And so there was a group of volunteers that worked just kind of monitoring all those things. But it took about like 30 to 45 minutes to get all of those systems like up and running and connected to the appropriate Zooms every day before every session.
Mhm.
And you have to assign translators. So there's so much detail that goes on behind the scenes just to make that technical stuff run. And so by the time we got to like, I think Monday or Tuesday, they had it down and were like on it. So that was really, it's just incredible. I went to multiple practice sessions before conference,
Yes.
and some of them were okay, but they were like, nope, that will not be okay during conference. So we will continue to work on that, and we did, and I feel like they just knocked it out of the park. That
We did. It was on the front end. It felt seamless. Yes, there were a few hiccups that we all noticed, but considering, like you said, 22 computers and how many connections, I mean, I sometimes have a hard enough time trying to get 20 some people with World Church Leadership Council connected via my one little computer and assign translators. And so I have a very small understanding, but I am so grateful that there are gifts and skills and talents that let us connect. So it's very, very cool. So I will say, with the Kitchener comment, that was one of the things I was noticing this morning with the pictures, going out and looking at those, was really taking in the remote site pictures, because we didn't get to see that as often. And so that for me this morning was really, really meaningful. And, so it was very cool.
yeah, kudos. I'm going to give a shout out to Jeff Piedmont for coordinating the photographers on site and then also working diligently to find someone who would be willing to take photos at the remote sites, because I think that is such a critical piece to, kind of capture the experience, not just on site, but also at the places
Yeah.
outside the satellite sites.
Yeah. Our site got really big this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were talking about stats earlier. I was there one day when Jeff was talking about how many pictures were being downloaded. Did you guys ever get a final count of how many pictures were downloaded from all the photographers?
No, but to give you an idea of what the round, actually, I wonder if I could find out. I might do that while we're talking about some other things. But
Okay.
Just to give you a sense of it, we had I think on at the Independence site, the headquarters site, we had I think about 10 or 12 photographers out and about all day. A couple of them came in every day and dropped photos. Um, there were two that were particularly prolific, and I think Jude came by one day and dropped off like 1,400 images from like the morning. So this was like at lunchtime. I was like 1,400. I can't even comprehend that. So
There's
Um,
some beautiful pictures out there.
it was
So,
really fun, and different photographers have different, I don't know, interests kind of, and we, because they're volunteering, we just say, here here are the things that we'd like to have documented, but what style do you like to shoot? What subjects do you like to shoot? And so there were some that really wanted to focus on just like faces. So they, really just focused on getting people smiling or talking to each other. And that was really fun to see. And then there was one, our youngest photographer was 15, maybe 16. And he liked like interesting artistic kind of shots. So we have a whole like, thing of artistic, interesting, unique shots. And uh, he had this little Tigger, the from Winnie the Pooh, like a little Tigger stuffed figure. And every once in a while, you see Tigger like in a photo, like he'll be propped up somewhere. So it was really fun.
oh,
Um,
yeah, I know who he was. Yeah.
so if you haven't seen them yet, we did not put all like 25,000 photos or whatever the number is. We did not put all of them out on Flickr, but we did put a large number of photos out on our Flickr account, and you can find that link. Um, I think also thanks to our tech crew today, Kristen and Brittany are behind the scenes, so they might be able to throw up the Flickr account
Yeah, I've seen
URL, but it's
yeah, it's
also
out
on
there.
savechrist.org/news, and you can find links to the all the videos. You can find links to the photos. I feel like there was something else. Oh, the conference recap video, like it's a short encapsulated about 3.5 minutes video. So there's links to those out there as well.
Great. Very cool. So, people have been asking about the official actions of World Conference, and I believe we have now done a wrap on that. Or do we have it out there yet, Jen? I know it was close.
Nope. Still waiting on the translation. It's in the queue.
Okay. All right. So as soon
But
as we have
it should be this week, I think.
this week. All right. So French and Spanish, and then we will make sure that it is posted. Where will they find that, Jen?
We will be making officially an announcement on cfchrist.org/news, and I'll have to check with our team. I think we may also put a link to it on the World Conference page on cfchrist.org, and we'll also make sure it's in the ministry tools section of the World Conference site and also official documents. So we'll put it out there in multiple places for you to find.
Cool. So, on that official actions document, it lists um, the what happened with the vote with the letter of council from the Council of 12, um, the letter of council from that Stacy presented, all the actions from the resolutions, um, the the vote from the finance board, members of the new members of the finance board, new members of the standing high council, and the when we sustained the leadership of the church, that list is there. It also includes the field organization. So trying to put everything into one document so you can find it quickly and easily. And that also includes the dates for the next World Conference in 2028. So March 31 through April 7 of 2028. And people have said, but we like June. June is so much better. And I agree. I love the weather of June. But, there are some things, I can't say we'll never have another June conference, but with an understanding, international travel is a lot more expensive in June. And as we try to manage our finances and our international travel fund and to be good stewards, that is one of the questions that we do keep in mind. Um, no matter when, school is always going to be in session somewhere, whether in the United States or throughout the world. And so that is really that is challenging, because we saw an influx of young people at this conference, and that was fabulous. Um, but we just need to kind of think about how that happens and how that participation is made possible. And June dates also provide can be interruptions for programming needs when it comes to camps and other things that are happening around that time. So, and then in 2028, with these dates, we also get to cover the World Church's birthday, or the Community of Christ birthday, let me say it that way, of April 6th. And so in 2028, we will kick off a 3-year journey of celebrating Community of Christ and our history as we look at the 200th anniversary in 2030, which is not a conference year. And so as we look to the Peace Forum, as we look to an international youth forum, and then the following in 2031 for World Conference, we're still in the conversation phases of that, but looking forward to an extended period of looking at our foundation, our roots, where we've come, and also, as Stacy always says, and as we go onward. And so that's exciting too. Can't say that it'll always be in June. It may not always be in March or April. Maybe it's October. I don't know. We've had conferences all over the place. And so that's one of those stay tuned for future information. So, and we look forward to being flexible as possible. Let's see. I see a question there from Justice. Will minutes be a part of this document? Justice, minutes are still being reviewed, and the minutes are reviewed by a minute review team, which is made up of 3 members of the Standing High Council. And so we are in process, and those minutes probably will take the next couple months to get finished, depending on people's schedules and how that all comes together. So, but we will get the minutes out there as soon as we're able. So, do we have any other?
Just a lot of appreciation shared for different groups of people, particularly there's one about the American Sign Language interpreting. A huge thanks to those lovely 3 women who shared their skills and talents all week long. Rod Downing just mentioned the 4 corners of the auditorium and the banners indicating where you are. Rod, that makes me so happy because I get lost in the auditorium still today. I've worked for the church for 20 plus 25, 28, I don't know, a lot of years. And I still sometimes when I go over there, I'm like, now what corner am I at? So I helped I didn't make them, but I helped get those banners in place. And I use them every time I go over there. Because but all the corners look the same to me. I was like, what? Where are we at? I don't know.
But I do like Rod's suggestion as to which corner the temple tunnel is in. And I'm like, that's a great idea. So
to do that.
Thank you so much.
And yes, it was great to have the snack bar back. And I saw another one of my funny, now that we're all safe and it's over, but during the tornado drill,
yes,
we sent everyone downstairs and everyone was very calmly walking down there. They were doing a great job. And then I was talking still upstairs with the people who were in contact with the weather, storm spotters. And so I was like, oh, I probably should get downstairs and let everyone know what's happening. So started heading downstairs, and I get all the way down to the first floor, and I'm like trucking real fast, like trying to make my way through the crowd with Adam Johnson, one of our AV guys. As we get down to that main hallway, we look over and we're like, oh, I guess we're still selling snacks. That's awesome. People were in line to get a cup of coffee or something. So obviously they were not super worried about the tornado, and they thought, well, we're down here already, we might as well get a snack. So that was also like just kind of a funny.
Yes, that's good. Um, well, our time here is, I don't know. Anything else you can think of, Jenn?
Oh,
Well, that's a good
that's a good
suggestion.
idea. I'm gonna write that down. Playing some of our like great videos.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Oh, Rod, you asked me hard questions about how many days. I could look it up real fast. How many days until the 2026 Peace Colloquy or the Peace Forum?
Well, I think he wants to know the number of days it's going to be.
Oh, good. Okay, that I can tell you. How many days from now? I cannot. It's going to be, I think, a 3-day event at this point is what I'm aware of. So it'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And there may be some additional programming on Thursday. There's some discussion about that, but that has not been decided yet. I would imagine that will start to take shape in the next, maybe 4 to 6 months, with a more firm schedule so that people can start planning for that. It will be happening at the temple, and what else? The format. I'm gonna guess you mean whether it's in person or online, or both. And I don't know the answer. Well, I know it's going to be in person. I don't know the answer to whether there will be some parts of it that will be streamed or not. Unless, Susan, do you know for sure?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have not heard it.
Yeah.
The planning details at this point.
And yes, Kim, the dates right now are October 16 through 18 of 2026.
26. Yes, not this year.
Yeah, not this October.
One big event a year.
That's right.
Oh, well, it certainly has been fun. And who knows, In the Know may show up in other forms with other topics. We'll just have to wait and see. So, and has become part of our branding, Jenn. So, guess what?
Oh, what?
The 2028 World Conference starts in 1,012 days from today. So mark your calendar.
Okay, it's on there.
So,
oh my.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us in this series. It's been a lot of fun. I had people during conference come up to me and say, I know you don't know me, but I've watched your In the Know. And we do hope that it's been beneficial and helpful. And so I would also let you know that the July-August edition of the Herald will be focused on all things World Conference. It may be a little late because we're still putting content together, but it is coming. And so anticipate that. Jenn, I've enjoyed so much being with you in this In the Know session and with everyone online. And so I don't know. What else, Jenn?
Susan and I have talked about maybe continuing this kind of format for other topics through the year. I kind of workshopped that idea anytime someone would stop me and say, we watched some of your videos. I was like, well, we've talked about maybe doing something like it. Would you be interested in that? So, like Susan said, we'll keep you all in the loop if this moves out of the idea phase and into something more concrete.
Yes,
but
beyond
I'm
World
excited
Conference.
about those possibilities.
So,
I would say, in the meantime, here's where you can find regular news and updates at seaofchrist.org/news. You can always find our World Conference Worship videos and other videos on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/seaofchrist. And then make sure that you're following us at Sea of Christ on Instagram and Facebook. It's a really great way to stay connected with us and with each other.
Yep. So thank you, everyone. And I've loved seeing the names pop up here, and look forward to seeing some of you soon. And this has just been great. So thank you, everyone. And we'll look forward to another time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.